Hi all, it's New Rambler here with the faint sound of birds in the background this time as opposed to rain. Not sure if you'll pick them up this time, they're quite quiet and I've got my curtains closed, but the windows are still open so you never know. You might be able to hear the odd bird or two singing away merrily as if life's amazing, or at least okay for them I suppose. However it is that birds live their lives and what their singing means. But hey ho, that is what it is. So yeah, the only thing I'm doing with this audio video is just commenting on Resident Evil 7 because a couple of people have asked me about it, both in and out of the channel, and what my thoughts are about it being a first-person game as opposed to a third-person that all the other entries have been. Albeit, there was a couple of games that were first-person, 3 actually, I think. I can't remember what they are. There's Resident Evil Survivor, Resident Evil Dead Aim. I think there was a Dead Aim 2, but don't quote me on that, I'm not sure. But this one is like the first in the main series where it's going to be first person. And people just ask me, you know, what my thoughts and opinions are of it, and whether I do an LP of it in the future. So, what are my thoughts? Well, I've seen the trailer, and I've seen videos of the demo for the game, and overall, I'm not particularly impressed with it. For the main reason that it appears, at least trailer-wise and the demo they've given us, to be just a rip-off of PT, essentially. Or I say a rip-off of PT, but a derivative of PT, if you want to put it in more friendlier terms. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because PT was pretty cool, I admit, when I saw the demo for that. Again, I never played it, I was too scared, but when I saw the demo for that through other Let's Players and YouTubers, it looked really good, PT, and I was really hoping at the end of it, when they showed you that actor from The Walking Dead, I can't remember his name, Norman something, and then it was going to be a Hideo Kojima game called Silent Hills. I was pumped then, because I thought, yes, if they make that game, it's going to be good, it's going to be scary, they know how to do it, and the PT demo just sort of really added that element of horror back into Silent Hill. It kind of went away from the original horror of Silent Hill a bit. It wasn't really that... I mean, it had weird moments in it, but I wouldn't say it was necessarily to do with, you know, cult stuff or rituals or that kind of thing, but hey, it was still scary. But then it got cancelled because Konami decided to cancel everything video game wise, you know, for their reasons, and now Capcom have decided to take it upon themselves to think, we need to reinvent Resident Evil again, because Resident Evil 6, even though it sold a few copies, didn't quite sell as many copies as we'd hoped, and not many people liked it, or at least had mixed opinions on it, because it wasn't very Resident Evil like in terms of the horror, though they did bring some Resident Evil staples back for that game, and it had some of the main characters of the series and what have you, but it was way too action focused and horror wise, yeah. I think the campaign for Leon and Helena, the very first campaign that I'm sure everybody played to begin with, that was probably the scariest, but even so it was still a bit meh. But it was just nice to see the zombies again, that's all. But the whole story itself and everybody else's campaign was a bit meh, and the story was just silly. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, most of the Resident Evil stories are a bit silly anyway, so I suppose I'll shoot myself in the foot there, but it was more sillier than usual for a Resident Evil game, and, you know, I can see why after that game came out and people were like, yeah, you've kind of lost the plot a bit, you're not really sure what you're doing with it anymore. I can see why they've decided to take on this PT idea and make it into Resident Evil 7, because if Konami's not going to do it and people were after PT, it kind of makes sense for Capcom to think, hey, why don't we make Resident Evil 7 a bit like PT? First person, suspenseful horror, not quite sure what's going on, creepy stuff. It'll sell! And it's going to sell, and people are really excited about the trailer and the demo that's out, Beginner's Hour. And I think Capcom have basically put 2 and 2 together, PT and Resident Evil, simply because they go hand in hand. You know, they're going to give you the PT game, or at least as close to the PT game that we were promised from Konami and Kojima before it all went wrong. And also, it helps them out Capcom-wise because it's rebranding Resident Evil, bringing it back to the survival horror roots, but at the same time keeping it fresh. And to be fair, for a series that has gone on as long as Resident Evil has, you know, I can accept that there needs to be... Well, it doesn't need to be, but I can accept from a you know, a business perspective and a consumer perspective that, you know, a refresh of the ideas and a sort of like a I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily say reboot, but like a sort of different perspective of the game from like 3 to 4, you know, when 4 was like that over-the-shoulder third-person shooter style, and it was one of the first games to do it. And I really like 4, by the way. I've been playing 4 with my sister recently, and I really think 4 was pretty good. I mean, I know it's rated as one of the best games ever made, and I thought, well, that's a bit of a tall statement, because obviously that's up to opinion, but I played it recently, and I've nearly finished it. I've got to finish it this weekend. And I've enjoyed it. You know, it's a good action game, but it's still quite creepy. And there are new enemies in it for Resident Evil 4, which was the first to not have zombies in it. They were good. It generally was good, and it was a fun game to play. Quite long. I liked the upgrading mechanics in it. The inventory system was probably the best that Resident Evil have ever had, with the suitcase and the briefcase. Really good idea. Why they didn't carry that over, I've no idea. They've kind of like reinvented it for each game since then, although since 4 they've made it as more classic style as possible. And even with this new game, Resident Evil 7, it looks like another classic inventory, albeit even more stripped down. It's like, no, just bring out the suitcase. Everybody liked the suitcase idea. It was a good idea. That was a good idea. Why would you scrap that? You know, But whatever. Anyway, point is, I'm going off on a tangent here. I like Resident Evil 4, and it is a very good game. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the best game ever made, but it's certainly held its charm and held its likability over all these years. It's still a very fun game to play. It's still quite creepy, and it feels like it belongs in the Resident Evil universe. So if you haven't played Resident Evil 4, do so. Go and play it. And if you need to replay it again because you haven't played it for a long time, do that. It's good. It's really good. So I get what they, you know, from Resident Evils 1, 2 and 3 to 4, 5 and 6, they redid the gameplay, and now they're kind of doing it again with 7. Which is fine, I get that. So basically, I'm not upset with the fact they've chosen something different. What I am upset with it is that it's just basically, oh, let's cash in on PT. That's the initial impression I'm getting from it, which I think a lot of people would agree with, but they wouldn't necessarily say it's a cash in. They would just sort of say, you know, oh, they're just using that idea to bring it to life. They're giving us what we want that Konami denied us, and it's making Resident Evil 7 go back to its go back to its survival roots. Why are you complaining? Nothing, not really. It's just, I don't know. I really would like to see, and I still think a few hardcore Resident Evil fans would like to see. I wouldn't call myself a hardcore Resident Evil fan, but I have had a soft spot for it since 2, because it used to frighten the living daylights out of me and gave me nightmares for nigh on 20 years until recently. I decided to man up. God, that second game scarred me for life. I was too young when I watched it. But I'm glad I've played it recently, and I really love it. It's that and 4 kind of my favourites. And the remake for the GameCube, the original the remake, the Resident Evil in the Mansion stuff, that was good. I kind of hope that they just did the Mansion game again. Yeah, the GameCube remake of Resident Evil. I was hoping we'd just get another one of those. And I think a lot of people who are fans of the series and or interested in the series would love to see that now, because I believe there's a generation of gamers who haven't really played much of the classics, or have tried to, or found it hard. You know, I think going back to that style would definitely get some sales in, and I think it would appease not only the fans but make the new gamers go, ooh, this is different compared to what we're used to. There's all this action games, quick time events, blah blah blah. Ooh, okay. It might it's like reinventing the wheel again, but at least it's a homage to the people who loved the series since the beginning, and it's kind of wooing newer gamers back into the franchise fresh, because they've never played a game like that horror survival game before. So I would like to see that. But however, this trailer for Resident Evil 7 and Beginner's Hour, it kind of has aspects of that. It's very creepy, very slow paced. It had, and I'm sure I don't really need to describe it to you, but I'll just give you my thoughts on it. It was oozing with an atmosphere that was not necessarily filled with dread, but filled with, what's going on here? Okay, this is weird. Yeah, I need to get out of here. It had an atmosphere of something foreboding was going on, or something it was not right here, in this horrible sense in your feeling that you're not going to get out of there alive type thing. And then it had a great sound design again, not perfect sound design, but good enough to make you go, what was that noise? What was that? And I liked, for this particular trailer, I will give kudos to Capcom for this. And again, they've kind of lifted it from PT, but I think they've gone a step further with it compared to PT. There's a lot of puzzle elements to this trailer, and sorry, I keep confusing trailer with the demo. There's a lot of puzzle elements to this demo, Beginner's Hour, which you know, you can explore freely if you want, and that's got lots of people curious. And I think that was a good idea because you get to explore what little of this place that you're in, and you can find all these really weird stuff, and you don't necessarily use it all. I think there's one or two things you can pick up that supposedly no one's found a use for, but maybe there is one, nobody's found it yet. But it's really cool that they add all this weird stuff. In other words, they're kind of, with this demo, not only giving you a taste of what the game's going to be like in terms of the style and the settings and the sort of type of game it's going to be, but they're giving you that puzzle element as well. You've got to do some work, you've got to solve things and what have you, which is what a classic survival horror game should have. All that mindless adventuring, or adventure games I should say, all this mindless going around going, you need to get out of the house. First you need to find a videotape for a video player that somehow still works after all these years. By doing that you need to go and actually find some sort of mannequin's finger of a doll, then not put it in the mannequin, you've got to put it in the oven, roast it for 30 minutes, and then a key will pop out. You take that key to a cupboard, open up the cupboard, there's another key in there and a bag of rubbish. You take the bag of rubbish up to the toilet, you have to ram that down the toilet with a plunger, and then out pops out another key. You've got 2 keys out of a possible 3 you need, although you don't need all 3 to actually use the key you actually need to get to a hidden door, which down that door is a hidden puzzle of, I don't know, some sort of boiler is broken, and once you fix the boiler and the water's working, a tape pops out of the sink through the taps, and then you pick up the tape and it's wet, then you have to dry it with air freshener, and then you know what I mean, it's just ludicrous going back and forth, doing all this sort of tedious stuff that makes no sense, but then ultimately you get what you want, and then I like all that sort of senseless adventure. It's great because it's puzzle solving, it's just there for puzzle solving, and if you do it in a suspenseful, horrifying environment, then you want to solve it. You think, God, I need to get out of here, you know. And if you have to do all this weird stuff, it only adds to the atmosphere of this is weird and scary. So I like all that. So as much as I know some people question its logic, and I do too, you kind of need it in a good old classic survival horror game, which they've put in this demo, Capcom, for 7. So I was glad about that. So I like the fact the puzzle elements are there. Sound design, again, like I said before, was good. There wasn't a lot to it in terms of substance, but what was there was basically giving you a taster, which of course it was. But I did notice in the beginner's hour there's like a spooky bit you can do. You can go up some stairs to like a first floor, second floor if you're in America, or basically anywhere else in the world, and you go up and there's just like a room and there's like mannequins standing around, and you think, oh okay, they're doing the mannequin. I've never found mannequins scary, I really haven't. Even when they move them slightly, it's like, oh, you're doing the old mannequin trick again. Okay then. I know some people do find it scary, and I do get a little bit creeped out if they do it well. Like, it still makes me go, ooh, but it doesn't make me get terrified thinking I hate mannequins. No, I don't. I really haven't. I'm just like, dude, it's a faceless doll thingy. Okay, poke. But they've done this sort of thing where they added a bit of supernatural horror to it in a way, where rather than there just being monsters and virus and zombies and that MacGuffin, or some sort of mutated being, they added this sort of element that you go up these stairs, there's mannequins on the stairs, like you go up this room, and on the left of the room there's these mannequins. You go into this room and you have to turn around so your back is to the mannequins, and then there's something and you grab it, and then when you turn around the mannequins haven't moved but they've turned to face you, whereas when you turned around with your back to them to get the thing you need to do whatever, they were sort of facing away from you, sort of like towards the stairs. So they added this sort of like, well, how did they move type thing, and it puts you on edge. It's scary, I won't lie. It makes you think, okay, that's creepy, but you think, well, it's Resident Evil, why are they putting this supernatural element in, you know? What are they doing to the series? Are they really like properly rebooting it here, or is it just the thing they've put in to say, hey, there may be scares that are like this? You know, it kind of made me think that's a bit of a Silent Hill moment. That would be more suitable for a Silent Hill game, not Resident Evil, which then added to that whole idea that they're just ripping off PT, and I was like, so I was a bit, I don't know, it just seemed a bit silly to do that for Resident Evil, because I thought, well, you've got to keep it with it, because they're saying that this game's going to be in the universe of Resident Evil. It's going to be within the universe of 1 and 6 and what have you, or 1, 2, 6 I should say. So it's like, well, why have you put that supernatural element of horror to it? If it was one, you know, it could be that maybe they'll turn around and say, well, actually that person was infected and you were just having symptoms of this new virus or plagus or parasite or whatever that makes you start hallucinating things. Oh, okay, fair enough. It doesn't say anything in the trailer, but if that's what it turns out to be, you can think, oh, okay, at least it's explainable by the stuff that's in the lore of the game, or the lore of the universe, I should say. So that, if they do that, then fair enough. I know I'm only nitpicking here, but it's, you know, I do pick up on these little things. I will nitpick things if I think, hang on a minute, that doesn't seem right, and it's taken me out of the of the situation a bit, then yeah, I think I should nitpick it and fault it, or at least criticise it. But only because I'm you know, this game, as far as I'm aware, is going to have Resident Evil traits in it. It's just a first-person view game with a more survival horror atmosphere, and I can't fault Capcom for doing that. And they've done that well. The rest of the trailer was fine. You know, it was creepy, eerie, lots of weird stuff around, not quite sure what to make of it. And then, of course, the ending happens where you get punched by some sort of weird monster creature and he's like, welcome to the family. And there's this whole idea of the family's going to see you in the next game for 2017. You're like, oh, God, what family now? Can you not just keep it to, I don't know, a viral outbreak and just make it scary like you did with the classic games? You know, just creepy and eerie, and then just, I don't know, just spin a loose story around it. And the whole idea of the game is just to get out, and what makes it mysterious is the fact you want to get more lore. You know, a bit like Five Nights at Freddy's type thing. You know, it's just a simple get out of scary game, you know, escaping with your life. But there's lots of lore in the background that you can piece out, which Capcom have done with the other Resident Evil games. You know, all the stories told by notes and stuff. You know, I like that storytelling for a horror game, providing it's not too heavy, like in the recent Project Zero Maiden of the Blackwater, whatever it was called, for or Fatal Frame Maiden of the Blackwater, whatever it's called, of for the Wii U, where there was just too much text, you know, or like Final Fantasy 13 or Destiny, the original version of Destiny, where all the stories and tons and tons and tons of text and website pages, and you're like, no, that's not storytelling. It just needs snippets. That's all you need, just little notes or snippets or recordings, or in the case of this trailer, there was video clips as well and that kind of thing. That's all you need. It's just clips and trailers and little notes to just piece things together, but not quite enough that you know the full story. Just enough maybe to give you the full story, or enough to make you think, Christ, what is going on here? I don't like this. I know you could argue, oh, well, that's not original storytelling or anything, and it isn't, but it's for this kind of game, that's kind of what I want. And they seem to have done that in the trailer. There was snippets and notes and stuff you can pick up where you're like, hey. So they've got that right. But that's about it, really. So that's what I'm going to say, really, on the trailer. There's not much more to it. And the demo, of course, sorry. But it looks interesting. I certainly am looking forward to seeing it come out. And I definitely would like to pick it up and play it. And I've heard that it's going to be on the PlayStation VR as well. You can play the whole game on the PlayStation VR, which is kind of neat. But because this game's coming out on, I believe, the Xbox One, PS4 and PC, question mark. If it is coming out on the PC, surely they'd be able to make it compatible with the Vive and the Oculus Rift and stuff. So I suppose when it comes to virtual reality, I guess the easiest one to access will be the PlayStation VR, as it's going to be the cheapest. It won't be the best, but if it does its job, then people won't mind. You know, at least entice them that VR is interesting if it works, and then you can obviously develop the technology at a later date. Personally, I'm not interested in VR. I think I've said this before. VR is I'm sure you know, the experiences I've had with it, I wasn't really satisfied. I think because I went into it with the mindscape of this is VR. It's not real. I'm not letting myself get immersed into it. But I would like to try a Vive or an Oculus Rift and give it a go. I've only tried some more basic examples than that. But VR is just something that's like, I don't hate it, but I wouldn't go out and rush to buy a PlayStation VR or an Oculus Rift Vive if it ever became affordable. I'd be like, yeah, I can do without it. I'm cool. But anyway, it's cool that you can play it on the PlayStation VR, and I assume eventually the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift and all these other stupid names with these VR stuff. That's kind of cool. But yeah, in terms of the game though, I am looking forward to seeing it, and I really hope there are talks there's going to be zombies in it and what have you. There better be. That's all I'm saying. And it has to be creepy. I've also read as well that the game isn't going to be like Amnesia or Outlast, where you can't fight back. You will be able to fight back in this game. Apparently there's weapons and stuff that will be introduced. The director of this game said, I hate games like Oculus Rift and Amnesia where they're scary, he said, but I get annoyed that you can't fight back. I like games where you can fight back, and Resident Evil 7 you will be able to fight back, which I think is pretty cool. I like that. I'm not saying I'm not saying Outlast or Amnesia are bad games, or any other first-person horror game where you can't fight back. I think they're pretty cool, and they're very scary, and I still think Amnesia is one of the scariest games it's extraordinary, Amnesia, with its sound design and everything. That creepy game. And Outlast to some degree, but it's more jump style horror, that Outlast, and gore horror, but it still works. But I think Amnesia for me is probably the scariest. But, you know, and not being able to fight back really does add to that. Oh god, I can't fight back, I've got to run. You know, I still think it's good, but I wouldn't mind being able to fight back either. You know, give you a bit of empowerment and stuff like that. But make it so like ammo scarce or something, or the weapons you get are scarce. Not necessarily like they break or anything, because I hate it when weapons break and all that stuff. That's just annoying. I know they can jam. Make it so that weapons can jam from time to time, perhaps, or make it so that your machete gets blunt or something like that, and you have to sharpen it, or get a new one. I don't know, something where your weapons don't. You can't overuse your weapons, otherwise they start to do bad things, like they'll jam easy or whatever. But not to the point where it's annoying. It's just it catches you out every now and again where you think, I got annoyed by that. But yeah, fair enough. It jammed. All right, fine. But other than that, yeah, I'm looking forward to Resident Evil 7. I really am. I've heard as well at the that this beginner's hour is not actually going to be in the game. This is just like an hour snippet thing. It's like, this isn't actually going to be part of the main game, which is interesting because the story it tells of the people who are breaking into this house to do a film documentary thing, and then they get kidnapped and mauled and all that stuff. Fair enough. I suppose it's a kind of a taste of what's happened. They could probably put it in the background somewhere of the game in text or something, or maybe in the game you'll find that same videotape as a Easter egg or something to the demo. But yeah, that's cool. I'm okay with that, as long as there's zombies and stuff. I want zombies and horrifying creatures. I don't want, as much as I don't mind the parasite people and the Las Plagas and all that of the previous games. I think they only worked well in 4. In 5 they were a bit silly, and 6 they were really silly. Although I know it wasn't Plagas in 6, it was the C virus and whatever. But point being is it was still Plagas design, if you know what I mean. Like, not in terms of the lore, just the enemies were based on the Plagas creatures in 4. I would like to see a return to the zombies where they're slow, shifting, shambling, creepy, and all that stuff. And the noise, the sound of the zombies is what gets you, really creeps you out. That's what they need to do with this game. Am I annoyed it's in first person? Kind of. I'd rather, again, it stick to third person, or at least give you a choice. That would be quite cool. But I'll give it a chance. You know, the first person thing isn't going to stop me from playing it. It might actually make it a really fun Resident Evil game. Am I going to LP it, though, is what I'm going to finish up on. Well, the difficulty in that is it doesn't come out till next year, so we've got some time, but my PC won't run it. Unfortunately, it's going to be too demanding for my PC. I have got a PS4, but it's my brother's, and he'll be back, I reckon, from travelling by then. So I'll have to give that back to him. So I'll have to, if I do get a chance to LP it, it'll have to be on the PS4, and I'll have to get a capture card, a HD capture card, to do it. But I've heard that console capturing from HD, HD capture from consoles can be quite tricky and pernickety and annoying. So I'll look into it. I'll see what I can do, but I can't make any promises. If I do LP it, it'll be at a later date, and I've either played it or left it blind. I will do my best not to watch an LP of it when it comes out straight away. I'll keep it as blind as possible because I would like to play it blind as an LP, because I think it'd be really good fun. Like Soma, which I did enjoy, actually, even though Soma wasn't as scary as Amnesia. I was scared and I did enjoy it. I thought it was good fun. I like that game. We'll see, is all I can say. But I'm going to need to get some kit together to do it and do some tests and what have you. And that's going to be expensive, so we'll see how we go. But anyway, we'll see. All I'll do is we'll see. If there's demand for it, I will promise you that I will not play it or watch any LP of it whatsoever. I'll be as blind as I can until I can get a chance to get a copy of it and make it run, and then I'll play it blind. If there's demand for it and people say, yeah, you go, Neo, you play Resident Evil 7, we'd love to see you shamble and ramble and just be like, ah, and an idiot. Cool, I'll do it. I'll promise you, if I get enough demand for it, I won't touch it, and I will wait. I will work hard to find a way to play it. So the way at the moment I want to play it is PS4 when it comes out, and I'll try and get a HD capture card design to get HD card capture device together. That's what I'm trying to say, and we'll take it from there. So there you go. But anyway, those are my thoughts on Resident Evil 7. A regular video will be uploaded either tomorrow night, being Friday night, or Saturday. I've got a bit of work to do tonight, and then yeah, then it's the weekend. So yeah, there'll be another video up tonight. So I'm sorry there's been a few gaps between videos lately. It's just I've been busy. Work's been quite a killer at the moment. But it's going to ease off very soon. So yeah, that means more time for videos. Yay! So yeah, so until then, can I say thank you very much for listening to this if you have done, or any snippets of it. You've been fantastic just doing that. Take it easy. Have a good one. Hope you're all well. And I'll see you in the next video.